Welcome back. In this episode, I'm joined by conscious dance DJ Amaia Garcia to explore the world of conscious dance and sober raving. We discuss how movement can support your mind, body, and well-being, the power of music, overcoming self-consciousness, and why sober dancing can be truly freeing and transformative experience. Hello, I have a very, very special guest, one of my very, very good friends from the conscious dance area, and it's DJ Amaia Garcia, who I first met at a Ecstatic dance retreat, or was it a festival?
It was a festival.
Festival.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Hello, Amaia, how are you?
Hi. Hello, James. I'm really, really good. So happy to be doing this with you. It's such an honor for me. So thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me.
So we've known each other for probably 2 or 3 years. I think we met at Dorset at a festival, and you were DJing. Tell me about the conscious dance. The conscious dance. What would you call it? Community.
Community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's conscious dancing basically has changed my life. I have to start with that. And basically, the difference between conscious dancing and regular dancing is that with conscious dancing, we don't follow steps. It's free movement dancing. Usually it's done in alcohol-free and drug-free environments. So I personally call it sober dancing. And it's more about being present in the body. Obviously, when we don't take substances, automatically we are more able to connect with the body. Noticing emotions, sensations, and thoughts as you move, as you dance, expressing authentically. So basically, you're more encouraged to be yourself without sort of feeling self-conscious, as we do sometimes in clubs. And it's just a great way to connect with yourself, with the music, and with the people around you. And in conscious dance, we don't judge. So there is no judgment. So you don't judge other people, and you don't feel judged by anybody. Everybody's in the same wavelength, just enjoying the music together as a community, and there is no spectating as well. So, which happens a lot in clubs, right? People are standing around with the beer in their hand or a drink in their hand, just looking at people, commenting, watching others, the way they dress, the way they dance, and stuff like that, which can make us feel a bit self-conscious when we are being watched. So with conscious dancing, that's not happening. It's a very safe environment for everyone, but particularly for women, because they don't usually get harassed by drunken men. And I have to mention this because, in clubs, unfortunately, that happens a lot. In conscious dance, there's a lot of women, they go to conscious dance because they feel safe. But obviously it's open to everybody. It's very, very inclusive. Everybody's welcome. Yeah, so that's good.
This is right up my street because dancing's been part of my life since 2022. Actually, yeah, New Year's Eve 2022. And it's something that has completely changed my life. And it only seems to get stronger. And I was just quickly, the other day, I was at a festival called Soul Revolution, and I was dancing to dubstep. And I've never had it where you probably see me in a dance floor. I'm at the front dancing, just going absolutely nuts. Usually in my own space, in my own kind of my own energy. But this time, what happened to me was that with the dubstep, there was this bass just going, and my body was literally shaking to every beat, almost like I wasn't dancing to the music. The music was going through my body, and it was quite amazing experience.
Yeah, and that's happened to me many times as well in conscious dances. I forgot to mention, actually, before I carry on with this, that conscious dances is like a broad term for a few different styles, which include different styles of events and dances, which include ecstatic dance, which is one of the ones that I do, 5 rhythms, movement medicine, obviously sober raves. All of those are conscious dances. And yeah, I've been to static dances where I felt like what you felt, because and even at times I have to say that I've been to static dances where I actually felt when I had like kind of spiritual experiences, you know? So it was, the music helped me connect with something bigger, which is very difficult to explain with words, but I felt it. And I felt like a sense of oneness with the whole room. And there must have been like 150 people in there dancing to the same beat. And I literally felt like we were one, you know? So I'm not saying that this is going to happen to everyone, disclaimer, because obviously every experience is different. Conscious dancing is a very individual experience in a way, because, you know, what you might feel can vary from day to day, from event to event, from DJ to DJ, although there is also obviously a community component. So the energy field created by the group also can, you know, have an impact on the way you feel too. But yeah, what happens with this is that sometimes I think we've been so used to in the past to dance in clubs and pubs and, you know, with substances, with alcohol and drugs. And what happens with that? Because I've experienced it myself. I used to drink, I used to take drugs, and I've been now clean and sober from all of that for the past 23 years, a day at a time. So I've been sober for a very long time. But I did experience a few years of like clubbing, taking drugs and all of that back in the 90s. And the difference is that when we are under the influence of substances, we think that we are feeling the music, but actually when we are sober, we can feel the music so much more, so much more. It's like the day and night, you know, because the substances can actually help block certain feelings, certain emotions, suppress emotions. But when we're sober, those emotions can arise. You can feel your body, you can open your heart, you can feel whatever has been suppressed and release it on the dance floor. So yeah, you can definitely have amazing experiences in conscious dancing.
So my first experience was back in 2022, New Year's Eve. I was sick of the same old shit of going to nightclubs, getting hungover and being horrendous the next day. And so I was looking for, I remember searching on Google, I think it was end of November after a breakup. I was looking for events where I can go, be sober, not have a hangover, and then kind of have this place where you can go by yourself. And I remember what came up for me was Nottingham Ecstatic Dance, and there was a New Year's Eve party. And I went, don't get me wrong, the hour and 20 drive, I was terrified. I was shaking, I was nervous, I had all these emotions rushing through me. And throughout the entire session, 2 or 3 hours session, I was still nervous. But what transformed in me there was that realization that I can start to enjoy myself to dancing sober in a community that's non-judgmental, and you kind of, I was able to connect more deeply with myself. Don't get me wrong, in some respects when I first started, I still felt a little bit judged, but that's my own stuff going on for me. And ever since then, after that, every 2 weeks, I was going Nottingham to go and do a Saturday dance.
Amazing. That I had exactly the same experience, exactly the same, because I think we are so used to going to pubs and clubs where we can have a drink. The alcohol kind of helps you kind of relax a little bit, maybe feel a little bit less self-conscious. And obviously, if you have one too many, then all inhibitions are gone, and then you can kind of, behave in ways that you might not behave when you're sober. And then you go into one of these ecstatic dances or sober raves spaces where there's no alcohol or drugs, where everybody's sober. I felt very self-conscious, also when I went to the first one. It was about 8 years ago, near where I live. And I don't even know how I found it, but it must have been Meetup or online somewhere. And I just saw that it said alcohol and drug-free environment. And I thought, okay, I can try this, because obviously I had been sober for a long time by then. And even though I don't mind going to clubs and festivals, like regular festivals, I was at one a couple of weeks ago with thousands of people taking drugs, and I'm fine with that because I love the music and I got to see my favorite DJs and producers, and I don't mind. But it's not something that I want to be doing every week, obviously, because when you're sober, it feels more intense when you're surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people taking drugs. So when I saw that, I thought, let me try this. And I walked into that room and I felt so self-conscious. Oh my God. I felt so self-conscious. And I saw people dancing quite freely, rolling on the floor, running around, jumping up and down. And I thought, what a bunch of weirdos. What are they doing? I don't get this, because obviously I've been so used to clubs where we literally, take some drugs and then you're dancing in the same way for hours, even though you think you're moving a lot. You're not, you're just in the same place, kind of like just with your hands dancing like this for hours, And then suddenly I see this kind of, what I thought was like a hippie thing, which I then understood is not a hippie thing. It's just a different type of dancing and relating to people, which is just sober, So yeah, I definitely felt very self-conscious, and it took me a few times to start to relax, I remember the first time when I first went in, I was dancing like in a club, like just the same movements, repetitive movements all the time. And I remember the first time my hands started going up and doing this, and being like kind of more expressive. And I remember my head saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Everybody's looking at you. But don't be such a weirdo. What are you doing?" And I caught myself thinking that, what? So it definitely took me like 3 or 4 dances to start to relax and get it, and change from that sort of more introverted, separated kind of dancing with repetitive movements to a more free way of being. It's not something that we are taught as adults,
Well, what I've noticed, because obviously after 4 years now of doing this kind of stuff, you're probably the same. I'm literally the one on the dance floor, just going like proper full on out. I'm like probably the most wildest one usually. But what I found is that when you get to that place where you're allowing yourself to be expressive, to be authentic, you attract people's attention in a way that it allows them to be authentic, allows them to be expressive. It gives them permission to dance freely. And that has been my experience, especially, and you notice, because you're sober, you notice. And what I found, especially at Soul Revolution this time, is that, as you can probably tell, that Soul Revolution for dancing was quite transformational for me. What I found this time was that you've seen me dancing. I've got high energy. I can go for hours, and then usually I hit a brick wall and I'm done. But it's more, I found that me dancing how I usually dance in front of everybody, people looking at me, almost gave them permission, which then my energy spurred on their energy, and then their energy spurred on my energy. And so there's this kind of giving and receiving of energy. And it's a sense of this kind of sense of community, sense of oneness.
Yes, definitely. And the thing is that when you're in a room dancing with a lot of older sober people, And there are some guidelines, for example, in ecstatic dance where we don't talk on the dance floor, right? We don't talk, we dance barefoot, there's no spectating allowed. So you can't just stand around and watch people. You have to take part or just go outside to chat to your friends, basically. But there are some guidelines that actually, like no phones on the dance floor, which is something that I love. So when we are not distracting doing that, we are all connecting with the people that we have around us, right? And with the group feel of energy as well, with the group's energy field. So yes, I have seen you dancing, and you have seen me dancing and DJ.
Yeah.
I got mental as well. I mean, long are the days, long gone are the days when I walked into that first static dance 8 years ago, and I felt so self-conscious. And actually, this practice has helped my self-confidence so much. And because being in a non-judgmental space and being able to move freely and be authentic has helped me, be more free. And now I don't care. I literally don't care. And not only I don't care in static dances or conscious dances, I don't care in regular places either. And so definitely it is contagious when you don't care and you don't give a shit, excuse my French, about what people think of you, and you're more authentic and you're dancing freely and people can sense that, they they feel like they're allowed to do the same, like they can do the same and it's okay. So in a way it's like acceptance, you're giving them acceptance of themselves, of who they are. And it's funny because I've been to regular festivals. Like a couple of weeks ago I was in one uh, where people take drugs and stuff, or been clubbing, and of course I'm dancing to some of my favorite DJs and producers, people that actually play their music in my events, in my dances. So I'm like a groupie now, when I go there, I'm like a groupie, and like, I can't believe I'm seeing these guys, these people. And of course I'm doing the static dance thing, which is I'm dancing freely. I'm moving in whichever way I want. And I always get lots of attention, like I get people wanting to buy me drinks. They start chatting to me, what's your name, whatever. And even sometimes I get people asking me if I know where to get drugs. This happened to me recently. And just go, sorry, mate, like I'm sober. And they go, really? And I tell everybody I meet in these spaces, I tell them I'm sober when I talk to them. Like if we're having a conversation and everything. Oh, do you want to drink? I'm like, I don't drink, I'm sober. And you can see their eyes going like, really? Because in their minds, the way I'm dancing and sobriety, they can't like work it out. How can you dance like that if you're sober? You know what I mean? But this is something that I've been given from the conscious dance movement, the events, this freedom to really be authentic wherever I go. I don't care where I am. I can be myself. I can dance in the way I like. I can dance freely, and I don't care what they think of me. So that's such a freedom. And that's something that we don't get in regular clubs. It's more about the way you look, the way you dance. People are observing you, you're observing them. There's a lot of spectating, and you kind of feel like you have to look in a particular way. You have to behave in a particular way. You have to impress, you have to have nice dance moves and whatever. Whereas, in conscious dancing, none of that is happening. You can just be authentic.
What I want to chat about quickly is just that, because there are so many people who, when you say that you go sober raving or conscious dancing or static dance and say that you dance sober, they're like, oh my God, I could never do that. And that was me probably 5-6 years ago. But there's almost this, I suppose dancing isn't for everybody. Let's put that first out there. We say, quite often we can say there's one medicine for all, but I think that's not true. I don't think everybody are dancers. But what I can say is that if you are a dancer, but you have to drink, why not give going sober give it a go? Because I know from my own experience, yes, you're going to feel loads of different emotions. You're going to be scared, you're going to be anxious, you're going to be fearful. And that's all part and parcel of the process of getting into this kind of stuff. And let's have a chat about how can people really step out and into this kind of stuff.
That's a very good question, because obviously it's conscious dancing, sober dancing, so can feel so different for some people, you know? But I think it's a great space to explore. So I think if you are curious, all you need to have really is curiosity, you know? And the thing is, what I will say is you can just try one of these events. Like you can just try to go to an ecstatic dance and see how you feel. Yes, the first time you might feel a little bit self-conscious, like we were sharing, like we felt the same. Maybe the second time you feel less self-conscious. Maybe the third time you start to really like it and to really enjoy it, you know? So obviously it might take a few tries or not. I mean, you might go the first time and think this is amazing and just really like, I've seen people doing that. I've met people that were there for the first time in a static dance. And then I've seen them dancing very freely and very happy. And then at the end of the event, I asked them, so how was it? Did you feel self-conscious? And they were like, no, I love this. This is amazing. Because the thing is that you're walking into a space that is non-judgmental. Because people are sober, they are very friendly, usually. You know, people will say hello, they will talk to you. There's always an acknowledgement at the beginning, like in static dances, there's an acknowledgement at the beginning of the dance when we do an opening circle. Is it's always asked who is here for the first time ever, so people can put their hands and we give them an applause and we welcome them. So it's a very, very friendly environment. You're not walking into an environment with people that are like grumpy, looking at you funny or anything like that. It's actually a lot more friendly than a club. If you think a club or a rave is friendly, multiply that by 10. That's what conscious people in conscious dances are. So you walk into an environment that is already welcoming with open arms, with people that are smiling at you, people chat to each other. You can feel the vibe. It's very, very chill, very relaxed. You know, there's no tension, and everybody's just lovely. And then once you are on the dance floor and you start feeling the music in your body and you start connecting, and sometimes when the energy goes up, which usually goes up in the middle of the set, and you see like a room full of people, however many people that is, but I've experienced dances with like 250 people, for example. Go to one on Saturdays, which takes like 150, 200 people. And then there's some smaller ones, right? But there's a couple of big ones in London where you can dance with a lot of people. And when you experience that, when you experience everyone like feeling, not just listening, feeling the music in the bodies at the same time, and the energy goes up and people start shouting and screaming like crazy, and you're really feeling that energy. Look, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Then you're honestly, how can you not enjoy that? If you enjoy music and you enjoy dancing, this is like another like a much better way of doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like dancing 2.0, you know what I mean? It's nothing like a club. It's nothing like dancing under the influence. It's just a completely much better experience because you're connecting with yourself first. You're connecting with the group's energy. You're having fun. You're feeling your feelings, whatever it is, you know? And I mean, for me, even though I felt self-conscious the first time, there was something about it, watching people dancing so freely, even though I thought they were a bit weird in the beginning, there was something about it that I thought there's something here, you know? So it kind of, there was enough to get me to come back and then come back again. And after 3 or 4 times, I just relaxed with it. And I was like, yeah, I can do this too. I can dance freely. I can just enjoy this. So I would just say, just give it a try because there is nothing to lose and a lot to win.
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes it's not, don't think about it like long term. Just think like, maybe this is really good for like sober curious people, for example, people that maybe just want to have a weekend of drinking or drugs. and think I'm just going to try static dance for one evening. It's just a couple of hours, see how I feel. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to lose, really.
And one thing I find with this hip dance is, especially if you're going for the first time, don't have an expectation of what's going to happen. And I think sometimes it's a gradual thing. And like you said, sometimes people can get straight into it and they have a whale of a time. And you can get so embodied that you literally hit the flow and you're not even, you're not there, but you are, if you know what I mean. But it's this idea that sometimes we have this expectation of what's going to happen. And if you have an expectation, oh yeah, I'm going to have a whale of a time, it's going to be amazing. That can put a dampener on the whole experience. And I'll give you an example. So at Soul Revolution, with being at the front for the most of the dancing and being so free, by the end of the last night, what I noticed was that I was exhausted. And then I started to get into my head because I had this expectation that I would carry on doing that for the remainder of the night, which also meant that I was getting a bit more self-conscious and I happened to perform. So rather than being authentically me, I was shifting into that performance headspace. So I pulled myself out because I needed rest. But yeah, it's a kind of idea that when you start to go to these things, the more that you do it, the easier it becomes and the more enjoyable. And I remember 4 months after starting, I looked for where can I go for retreats and festivals because I didn't want to have it like once every 2 weeks. I wanted to have it a whole like week full of it. And so that's when I found the Ecstatic Dance London and their retreat that they do in Dorset at the Leela Centre.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. Like when we get into our head or have expectations, like you said, it can affect your experience. I think what I would say about that is what I tend to do personally is like when I feel like I'm getting a bit into my head, which sometimes I can do, even though I've been dancing in conscious dances for a long time. Every time I arrive at a dance floor to dance, it's a different experience because I'm feeling different each time. So sometimes I'm feeling more joyful, sometimes I'm feeling sad, sometimes I'm feeling grief, sometimes I'm feeling whatever. And whatever in static dance, we always say, come as you are. So I always come as I am. I don't pretend to be something else because that doesn't work for me anymore. So if I'm feeling sad, then I'm feeling sad. And if I'm feeling a bit grumpy, I'm feeling grumpy. And if I get into my head because of the way I'm feeling that day or whatever, I'm gonna start judging people, which I hate to do because obviously it's a non-judgmental space. But we are human beings, and I find that when I'm not feeling well in myself, that's when I start doing things like that. If I'm feeling okay, then I'm just not judging anybody. So when I tend to get into my head for whatever reason, one trick that I found is to close my eyes, and just listen to the music. Just close my eyes, listen to the music, and maybe just say something to myself, like a little mantra, like, it's okay. It's okay to judge, or it's okay to be in your mind, your head. It's okay. Just let it be, Because obviously we are human beings. It's like when you're trying to do meditation and sometimes a train of thought comes and it's persistent and you can't get rid of it. And usually the good teachers will tell you, just be aware of your thoughts. Don't try to block your thoughts. Just be aware of them and then let them pass. Don't dwell on them, but be aware of them because they're there. So we are human beings, self-consciousness, expectations, judgment, all of this might come up at some point and it's okay. So what I usually do is I close my eyes and I kind of regroup. I try to regroup. I feel the music in my body. I connect with that. Once I connect with the music and my body connects with the music and my nervous system is connected to it again, I'm okay again. Like I can just be mindful, present in that moment. That helps a lot. It's just a little technique. Because sometimes you have to block the outside world to just regroup a little bit and then come back to it. But obviously, as a human being, it's okay to have expectations. It's okay to have feelings. All these things are going to come up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost that thing that sometimes you can get into your head easily, and that's why you notice a lot of people with their eyes closed, so that they can come back into their own body and themselves, so that they can connect. And I feel like some people find, like I did initially at the very beginning of my journey, was that closing my eyes, I wasn't worrying about what other people were thinking. Whereas I've got to a point now where I don't need to close my eyes. I can just be in the body. And thinking about, I still go into head occasionally, but I notice I come back into the body and I'm able to then carry on dancing. And you're going to have, like you said, we're human beings. So you're going to have feelings. You're going to have stuff that come up. You're going to perhaps fancy somebody on the dance floor. You might feel that insecurity. You might feel, how do I approach it? You might feel this sense of, because what I notice at certain groups have more connection between people than others. So whereas some people will pretty much stay in their own space, some groups, people come together, dance, contact, improvisation, and all that's okay. I know with dance improvisation, that's my edge. So that's where I start to connect with people and start to create that movement with people.
Yeah, I think if you're not used to dancing sober, contact improv might be a little bit too difficult, maybe.
Yeah.
Because contact improv is about dancing with other people and actually having your bodies touch, not in a sexual way. You don't use your hands, but just say, like, you start with the elbows and then the backs. Sometimes you can do it on the floor, sometimes standing up. So I think that's kind of another extra level of I think, of courage, I think.
It is. That's my edge.
Yeah. And for me, it's also my age, depending where I am. Like I've been to certain environments where they were doing contact improv workshops, and I felt very comfortable in that space to do it. And because it was a festival, maybe I already knew people there, so I knew who I wanted to dance with. That makes it easier. If it's just like a one-off event and you don't know anybody there, it can be a little bit more daunting. But if you're in a festival environment and there's a workshop about contact improv, I would definitely suggest to do it because, again, it can be so good to do that for so many reasons. I think one time I did it at a Rumble Festival in London, and it really helped me overcome some stuff that I used to have around men because of my past. And so I chose certain men dance with. Like I said, it's not a sexual thing at all. It's not tantra. It's not nothing like that. It's just dancing sort of with bodies touching. So it could be legs, feet, shoulders, whatever it is. Yeah, it was very healing. I found it very healing in that sense, like just dancing with this man helped me heal something that was there for a long time. So, sorry, my computer was going funny. So yeah, but I will say if you're not used to sober dancing yet, I think that contact improv might be something for the future. Something to aim for in the future. But I will just try something like an ecstatic dance, which is a lot more. It's more about free movement. You don't have to dance with anybody if you don't want to. You can dance on your own the whole session. It might be a lot easier for people. That's a kind of first point of contact.
But if you've been doing it for a while and contact improv is your edge, then my suggestion is sometimes take the jump and see how it feels.
Yeah, I think for me, I love to challenge myself, you know?
Yeah.
I'm always challenging myself. Sometimes I wonder why. Well, because I put myself in very kind of daunting situations sometimes. But for me, it's like I'm on a kind of self-development journey for many years on and off. I always like to learn new things about myself. I've been on a healing journey for a long time. So anything that I feel can help me grow more as a person, as a soul in this, in this life, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I always like to try new things, and I think, well, for me, I was told many years ago, the only way to grow is by getting out of your comfort zone, and I keep this very much in mind all the time. So I heard this like over 20 years ago, and it really stuck with me. And I was thinking, yeah, when I stay in my little comfort zone, whatever that is, um, growth can then become stagnant. There's
Yeah.
only
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
much you can grow. But as soon as I step out of that comfort zone, even if it's 1 millimeter, it doesn't have to be a huge step. It can just be tiny little bit at the time, that's, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. That's going to be taking a risk, try something new. And usually 10 times out of 10, experiences like that, getting out of my comfort zone always leads to more growth somehow, even if it's difficult what I'm doing,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's going to lead to more growth. So I would say with anything in life, give it a try. I mean, what is there to lose? Do you have nothing to lose? Maybe something to gain. I always say, if you don't like it, you don't have to go back. And even if you don't like it whilst you're there, you can leave. It's not
Yeah.
like anyone is gonna force you to stay there. You can try something. I mean, like I've been to places where there was contact improv and like festivals, and I felt comfortable to give it a try. And then I've been in other places where I didn't feel comfortable to do it, where I saw it happening, but I just didn't feel comfortable to do it, and I didn't do it. And it's obviously, has to be something that is at the right time. But definitely get out of the comfort zone. I always say that because
Yeah.
you don't know what can be on the other side of that. There could be some amazing experiences.
So I think it was the dance retreat in April. I think you were there
Yep.
on one of the morning sessions. One of the girls was dancing quite close to me, and it was almost like an obvious energy kind of thing, like she's open to dance. And I think in front of everybody, there's this dance improvisation between me and her, and it's been able to. I've done it before in Nottingham briefly, not loads of sessions, but enough to know how to do it, how to lift, and I was able to lift just small enough and light enough that I could lift her and move her around quite easily. But that was quite an experience. So let's move on to the what are the nervous system effects? So when we go out and dance, how does that affect the body, and how can doing it more and more and more have an impact on our nervous systems?
So one thing that we sometimes these days are not aware of is that music has a direct impact on our nervous system. Um, in fact, music acts as a signal that helps regulate the nervous system. And this is why a lot of people find dancing, raves, dancing in clubs so amazing. Is because this music with a particular beat can help regulate the nervous system. And unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of us have what I call dysregulated nervous systems because of a stressful way of living, the rat rate, the 9 to 5, the overuse of technology. We're constantly on our phones, constantly on social media or whatever. You name it. It could be like environmental stress, like in the city, too many people, everybody's rushing around. There is so many factors that can lead to our nervous systems being overloaded and dysregulated. So music can definitely help you regulate the nervous system. So the one of the best effects, I guess, of music in the nervous system is that it helps release dopamine. And dopamine is the good feeling hormone, basically, the one that is associated with pleasure, with motivation, and with learning. So when our dopamine, and again, say in city environments, for example, I live in London, because of the sort of a stress way of life that a lot of people go through every single day, the commuting, the overworking, overuse of social media, all of that stuff. Dopamine, so a lot of people are using their phones now and social media to get hits of dopamine because our dopamine levels have decreased because of our lifestyle. So what happens every time you see something that you like on the phone, it gives you a little hit of dopamine. But then it's a bit like drugs. The more hits, the more you need to get the same effect. So the more you use it, the more you have to use it to get the same dopamine hit. And then it becomes a vicious circle. So that's why a lot of people overusing smartphones this day and too much on social media. So with music, your dopamine levels will increase just by listening to the music and dancing to the music. That's one of the things. Then it influences the autonomic nervous system as well. So that's why you can feel calmer when the music is kind of a lower energy, and you can feel more energized when the music is higher energy. Obviously, it reduces stress because it affects the stress hormones. So cortisol is the stress hormone. Music actually decreases our cortisol. If you think about it, when we think, oh, people like to play classical music to plants, and they grow more and they are happier, it's not a coincidence. Obviously, a plant is a live being, it's not dead. So for us, it's the same thing. When we listen to certain kinds of music that we enjoy, that we like, it could be classical, it could be rock, it could be whatever, cortisol levels, stress levels go down. So you get more dopamine and you get less cortisol, less stress levels. So obviously you're going to feel better. And then music synchronizes brain activity. So neural activity can become synchronized with musical beats, and this is called entrainment. So this is why dancing to the same beat, like house music, for example, or trance music, electronic music, usually you have a very similar beat in this music. You get into this space where you connect with the beat, and this can actually improve attention and focus in your brain. It helps you coordinate movement, but also it can support rehabilitation of some neurological conditions. And this is quite amazing. And this is why it has been proven now by science that a lot of neurodivergent people, this is what's happening. They get a lot of benefit from dancing to the same beat. So a lot of people who, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people who go to raves and go to clubs to dance are neurodivergent. And this is one way to, by dancing to these beats is one way to kind of regulate yourself and feel more like you can be present in the space. You can be present in your body. You can be present in your mind. And of course, it regulates, it engages, music engages movement networks. So this is why even if you're sitting down and you listen to some music, you can start tapping your foot, or you can start like moving your hands. Is connecting with that part of yourself. And of course, it influences emotion and memory. So, of course, the song can evoke memories, feelings, bodily sensations from past experiences. So, this is why people like to sing lyrics from certain songs when they see their favorite DJs playing these songs. And, you have like in a stadium with 50,000 people singing at the same time. You feel so good after you do that, and you feel so connected to yourself and to the world when you do that. It's quite amazing. So definitely there is a lot of benefits for the nervous system to listen to music and dance to music. But at the same time, I do feel that I have to say this as a DJ and as a dancer, well, but especially as a DJ, and I would say DJs and event organizers, or especially of conscious dancers, because we are sober there. And we do have a responsibility in regards to this. So, for example, as a DJ, I took the time to learn the effect of music in the nervous system in conscious dance spaces like ecstatic dances. So I did some training with Tasha Blank, who's a quite well-known DJ from New York. And because I think it's very important for conscious dance DJs to learn about this. Because in the same way that we can play the right music to help people ground, help people connect with themselves and help them regulate their nervous systems, we can also play music that can help dysregulate the nervous system. So, and we can be in environments that can dysregulate the nervous system. And this has happened to me. I was in Tulum in Mexico last year. I go to Mexico every year if I can, and I play out there as well. And I was at an event in Tulum where I was dancing. I wasn't DJing. It was an ecstatic dance, and unfortunately, it was in a beach club, and the beach club owners were told not to serve alcohol for this event, but unfortunately, they decided to serve alcohol. People started drinking, and then guests from the beach club came into the dance. People who might not be familiar with the static dance, with the guidelines and everything else, they were drunk. They were pretty drunk, and then the atmosphere got a bit chaotic, and I started to feel very unsafe in this space that's supposed to be, sober, caring, safe. Suddenly, it became unsafe. My nervous system was very dysregulated, and I started to feel very unsafe there. And by the time I came out, and me and my friends, by the time we came out, we felt worse than we went in. And that was a huge lesson for me, to really become very conscious of this, that, some people might have PTSD, some people might have mental health issues, whatever it is. Some people might be neurodivergent. You never know who is dancing on the dance floor. So we have to be very mindful that we are taking care of people and making sure that we create safe spaces. Not just because somewhere says a static dance might be perfect sometimes. Sometimes we have to be very discerning of where we, and especially for us, we have a responsibility to make sure that people are safe in our events. I don't know if you can hear my cat.
It's all right. There's been plenty of occasions where animals have popped into the screenshot and stuff, and yeah. That makes a lot of sense, because sometimes I go to sober raves, which is slightly different, and they're continually playing different music. But then sometimes you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's change of beat. So then you got to kind of rejig your body and get back into the beat kind of thing. And that can dysregulate you in some respects. But also I feel like that almost trains me sometimes to be on the wavelength of, okay, you're not always going to be in the flow with the music. And I remember somebody saying that sometimes you might not like a certain type of music, but if you dance to the resistance of the music, you can quite often move through that flow and come out the other side and get back into the flow. And I remember being at one of the ecstatic dance events, and there was, I think it was dubstep. I love dubstep now. I absolutely love dancing to it. I can dance and move through it dead easily. And initially, I was like, I'm finding this quite hard. But I danced the resistance, and suddenly something shifted, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah. Well, you said the word resistance. Sometimes we can have resistance on the dance floor. Especially when it comes to sober dancing, I think, because when we are dancing sober, it is easier for us to connect to our bodies for the heart to open, for us to feel our feelings. And some feelings are easier than others to process, and usually human beings just like positive feelings. What we term positive feelings, which is, in my opinion, um, I don't use positive and negative feelings. I don't say that, because all feelings are human feelings. All feelings need to be felt at some point. It's part of being human. And actually, if crying sometimes can be very cathartic and very healing. So just being sad is not negative in my view. So sometimes we can be on the dance floor or a sober event, and then certain music gets played, and then we start thinking, "Oh, I don't like this song. I really don't like this song. I don't want to dance to this song." Years ago, I heard a very good advice about this, which is if you start feeling like you don't like a song, don't go and sit down. Don't leave the dance floor. Stay where you are. Even if you're not moving, just stay with it and try to explore what's happening. Try to maybe just close your eyes and just think to yourself, why don't I want to dance to this song? Because obviously there will be times when we don't particularly love certain types of music. But 9 times out of 10, for me, when I start to think I don't like this, it means something is coming up in my body, some kind of emotion is coming up, and then I want to bail out.
Yeah,
I want to leave the dance floor. I don't want to feel this, because it might be a difficult emotion. It might be some sadness, it might be some rage, it might be some grief, who knows. Sometimes the body, we walk around suppressing emotions a lot of the time because of the lifestyle we have. Like when we are doing, we are not feeling. That's for sure. When I'm working, when I'm busy thinking, when I'm busy doing, I don't have a space and time to actually feel my emotions. So I tend to go to ecstatic dance at least once a week, if I can, because I know this already. I know that when I'm busy, I'm suppressing emotions. I know they have to come out at some point, and I don't want them to come out in the wrong way by being grumpy or whatever. So I'd rather do it in a safer space like a static dance, where I know I can let go of whatever I'm feeling and express it in a free way, and no one is going to care. And if I need to scream, I scream. If I need to shout, I'll shout. Whatever I need to do to express that and to let it go, I can do it on the dance floor. But sometimes certain feelings can be difficult to feel. So all I will say is, if you feel like you start getting into your head, "Oh, I don't like this song. I think I want to leave the dance floor." Don't, just stay and explore, investigate what's behind that, because behind that, like you said, there could be something beautiful. There could be something good, or there could be a release. Say, like if sadness comes up and I start crying on the dance floor, then that's release, that's healing, that is happening. I'm processing my feelings. So I was talking about this to someone the other day, saying, they say emotions are feelings in motion, and that is said a lot, which means, for me, means that emotions need to come into the body, be processed, and then leave the body. But when I'm busy, they come in and they get stuck in the body because I'm not processing them. I don't have time. I don't have time to sit and cry. I don't have time to sit and feel grief. I don't have time to feel angry and punch a pillow, for example. I have to keep going, keep going, keep going because of this lifestyle that we have nowadays. So dancing is definitely a great place. I mean, sober dances like ecstatic dance are great places to come in and feel whatever is there.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring this episode to an end. But before we do that, could you tell people how can they get in contact with you? And are there any events that you're going to be at? And what events are there?
Yeah, so definitely I'm on Instagram at DJ Amaia Garcia. That's AMAYAGARCIA. DJ Amaia Garcia is actually on the screen here. That's my Instagram handle. People can also access my music for free on SoundCloud. So I've got quite a few mixes there from sober rays, from ecstatic dances, So again, it's the same name, DJ Amaia Garcia on SoundCloud. What else? I'm going to be playing at the Ecstatic Dance Festival in Dorset again this year. This is my third time. Woohoo!
I'll be
It's
there.
Yeah, we'll be there dancing like crazy. So this is organized by Ecstatic Dance London. So if you go to the Ecstatic Dance London website, all the information about the festival is there. It's in a beautiful place called the Lila Center, which you know very well. The food is amazing. The grounds are beautiful. They have hectares of countryside there. And there's going to be all sorts of things like ecstatic dances, obviously, dance parties every evening, workshops, yoga, breath work, you name it. Everything is going to be happening there. So that's at the end of July, I think from the 22nd, I think,
Yeah,
for 5 days.
22nd to the 26th. Yeah,
I think it's
22nd to 26th.
5 days of dancing, being in community, meeting like-minded folks, having beautiful experiences there. So, and then I'm going to play also in London at an event called Ecstatic Dance Culture, which is a women-only ecstatic dance, which I think is the only one in London. I don't know if in the UK, but definitely the only one in London that is specific for women. They always do them once a month around the full moon time. And that's going to be on the 27th of August. I'll be there. And I'm sure there'll be other things coming up. So if people follow me on Instagram, I will always advertise my events there.
Thank you very much, Amaia.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. Thank you, James.